Jeremy Seabolt joining us, and also, you ready, wrestling fans, 3-time WWE Tag Team Champions of the World, Axe and Smash, Demolition. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good.
Doing really good. Doing good.
Now, before we get on going with anything, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the events you got coming up, time, date, all the fun stuff that everybody needs to know about.
We've got 2 big shows coming up. We're partnering up with FWF, Funkified Entertainment, out of Warsaw, and we're putting on a show Saturday night called Smash Funk, which will have Demolition in action, as well as TNA superstar Robbie E. That'll be at the Kosciuszko County Fairgrounds, which is 1400 East Smith Street in Warsaw. Doors are going to open at 6:30, I believe, and showtime is 7. And then the following night, we're going to be in Valparaiso, Indiana, at Inman's Bowling and Recreation Center, which is 3201 Evans Avenue. Doors open at 1:30, and that'll be a 3 p.m. bell time with, again, Demolition being in action, as well as Robbie E. from TNA and many other stars like Congo Kong, Drew Skills will be there, Lightning Bolt Johnson, Mr. 3% John Hudson, and tons of other talent.
Sounds like a great show. Jeremy, do you do this once a year with Funkified, or is this a unique experience?
This is going to be the first one. We actually have 3 more set up for the rest of the year. We're doing another event in June with Badass Billy Gunn and Kevin Thorne. We're doing another one in September with Bushwhacker Luke and Gangrel. And we're going to round out the year with one in November. And so far we've got the Rocker Marty Jannetty book for that one.
Sweet. Well, I tell you, you couldn't have brought a couple greater guests to join you in this first endeavor. Axe and Smash, legendary tag team, legendary singles career from both of you gentlemen, and we could easily talk to you guys all night, but of course time is going to be of the essence. We'll try to stick as much as we can with the tag team. You know, when you guys did get hooked up in the WWF, and I don't know who brought it up to you in the first place, whether it was Vince or whom it was, Mr. Axe, when he brought up the idea of Demolition, and talking to Joe Laurinaitis Animal last week on the show, he says you guys have been friends for years, but the criticisms early on were always that here comes the Road Warrior ripoff. So when Vince brought the idea up to you guys, what did you think?
Well, I thought it was a good idea. You know, you had already mentioned the fact that Barry and I both had separate careers and were successful at those. But we knew that, you know, we were going to be successful with this character as well, simply because of, you know, our experience in the past. And like, I'm sure like Animal had mentioned, every time you have something, somebody's going to say they copied it. And it's funny because I'm sure he brought up the fact that since we were already in WWF, well, it was WWF at the time, they came in later, and then they were supposed to be Demolition ripoffs. We can't worry about that. You know, we had success, they had success, and I like to say that there's Demolition fans, there's Road Warrior fans, and there's millions of people in China that don't give a damn about either team.
And what's really funny about it, is when we were wrestling, the Road Warriors were wrestling, we never ever heard that until after, Bill, you and I finished. That's when all of a sudden you started hearing things. So while we were wrestling, nobody ever said nothing like that.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, to you guys' credit, you know, all the magazines and stuff at the time, there was no such thing as internet back in those days, of course, but all the wrestling mags and stuff were doing the comparisons and things like that. But to you guys' credit, you got it all over yourselves. It was fantastic. You guys have earned every ounce of success you've ever had and everything you've done. Something I've never asked any of our guests. Oh, absolutely. You guys did your did your diligence with it. I mean, you worked it and made it your own.
You're kind of starting to sound like Gene Okerlund, the ripoff of Gene Okerlund. Why is that?
Oh my gosh! Well, I saw.
Well, it sounds like everybody kind of rips off everybody, doesn't it?
Mean Gene said last year when I met him that I'm a ripoff of Jim the Weatherman on the Weather Channel. I guess I do bear some resemblance to him. But anyway, guys, I've never had the opportunity to ask anybody this because I've never talked to anybody who's been managed by Mr. Fuji. What was it like having the legendary manager, Mr. Fuji, by your side?
Well, Fuji
Barry, why
was
don't you give us that one?
Go ahead, Barry.
What's that? Go ahead. Talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was quite an experience, I'll tell you. Every day you kind of had to wonder what the heck was going to happen. Thank God we were friends with him, and, not too many people would ever mess with us because Fuji was our manager.
What do you think the greatest asset of having Fuji by you guys' side was during those days?
Well, he would analyze the match for us. He was a consummate professional. He knew that we didn't need his intake on our interviews and things, but he would analyze the matches. He would critique it after we're driving down the highway, telling us, maybe you should do this, maybe you should delete that. He was the manager for some time, but I think a lot of people forget that he was a pretty proficient wrestler himself, so he knew the ins and outs of the psychology part of it. And, we all wanted to have the best matches on the card. We didn't care about who was on the card. We wanted to be, most of the time we were the main events, but even if we weren't, our objective was to have the most exciting and memorable match that evening.
I'll tell you what, one thing I always remembered over anything, I think, during those days was the Great Swerve. Whose idea was it, and how did it go over between the big swerve between you guys and the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji switching sides?
Well, that was the booking committee had all that all set up for that, and that was get us to be baby faces.
We were. I think they panicked. We've talked about this a couple of times. We were beginning to be very popular, as you well know, at that time.
Right.
And it really didn't matter what we were doing or who we were doing it to. The fans were still cheering for us. And I think that the powers that be in the ivory towers jumped the gun. And, Barry and I have talked about this. We could have been heels for 2 or 3 more years. It doesn't matter if the fans like you. I think they respected our work, our productions, but the people in the office at the time took it as, well, geez, they love these guys. They must be good guys. They loved us because they knew what we were going to do. And we didn't change our style when we came out of the locker room.
And to this day, they haven't learned that lesson. They keep, changing CM Punks of the world and Brock Lesnar's over when they get cheered too much. So, lessons
how
many
times did Flair change? Right?
Exactly.
They even, my God, they had the biggest baby face in the world with Andre the Giant. Why do you have to make him a heel? So.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We're talking to the legendary Demolition. I'm going to kick it over to my tag team partner. He is the Heroes and Legends heavyweight champion, and he will also be at this event, Demolition, with you guys. Drew Skills, what do you got for Demolition, buddy?
Hey, guys, thanks for coming on, and I really appreciate it. I was lucky enough to meet you guys, I think it was about 3 years ago at the very first Heroes and Legends event. So I'm honored to speak to you guys tonight and get to know you a little better.
Well, very good.
You too, Joe. Drew, looking forward to seeing you here on the road for a couple of days.
For sure. It's going to be a blast. There's going to be a couple of really big shows. One thing I'd like to do, guys, if it's okay with you, Rick kind of touched on it earlier. We could spend all night talking about all the different accolades that you two both have accumulated in your career. But what are some of the things that you guys consider highlights of your career? What are some of the things that stick out most to you?
For me, it was. Go ahead, Ax.
I was going to say that we worked with we got an opportunity to work with all the top talent, not only here in the United States, but Canada, and then we went overseas. So it was kind of hard not to have a successful career. We enjoyed the travel. We both enjoy each other's company. So that's important. Like you guys know, you're on the road, you're away from home, and you don't want to have any headaches on the road. So, I thank Barry for his support, all of his efforts, and all of his hard work.
Yeah, that's how I feel the same way too. I had a couple of great people that I traveled with Bill and Mr. Fuji, and we traveled with Tito Santana and Rick Martel, and and then you ended up wrestling a lot of these guys who are your best friends, and I think one of my big highlights in the ring was probably wrestling Andre the Giant and Giant Baba in the Egg Dome in Tokyo. Yeah, that was a pretty fun one, huh?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's amazing. We talked about you guys getting your gimmick over, the same with the Road Warriors and Powers of Pain as well. Animal talked about how he was just happy that his buddies were doing well, doing good too. So I think that's huge. I think the tag division, especially when you guys were running strong, was the next thing to the heavyweight title. It's kind of taken almost a lost art today nowadays. How do you guys feel about that and what you guys have built, or what you guys did build with all those great teams, the Hart Foundation, all those, the Bulldogs, everybody, Baba and Andre, the different people that you guys got to work with, the status that you guys brought tag team wrestling to back then versus where it's at now?
Well, it's when you're in the forest with all those good opponents, you don't really notice it. It's not till you step aside and, people come up to you at the Legends Fest or these events we'll be at. Hope a lot of people come up and talk to us, and they've got fond memories. So it's impressive, and it humbles us to have them or all the fans come up and say, I remember this, I remember that. So to make an impression on the fans, I guess we were pretty successful. And we'll just thank the opportunity that we still have to go out and meet and greet and sign autographs and talk with the fans and get to know them. Because when we were really busy back in the day, all you did was fly in, get in a rental car, go to the arena, drive back to the airport, and fly out again. You never had a chance to sit and talk with anybody.
Yeah, and I think what was really great too is we did work with the greatest teams ever in wrestling, and I truly believe that all those tag teams really wanted to get in the ring with Bill and I and Mr. Fuji, and that really said a lot. And we really appreciate all the guys because it kind of made us seem like hey, we're pretty good if everybody wants to work with us. So it was a good feeling in our careers.
Yeah, I can tell both of you now, as far as that is concerned, nothing has changed. Everybody still wants to get in the ring with Axe and Smash.
Well, that's nice. I mean, it's not the same as it used to be, so but we're as good one. How's that song go?
Not as good as I used to be.
Yeah.
Not as good as I was once.
Yeah, once in a while.
That's the truth from my end, too, because I'll tell you what, when I announced that Axe and Smash were coming, I had everybody and their brother shoot me a message wanting to know about how they could wrestle them and who they were wrestling and if they could be in the match. Like, we could have had a 20-man on 20-man tag match just to make everybody happy if I wanted to.
Well, that's nice. I appreciate it.
Hey, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, we had guys messaging us and saying, hey, we want to be in the ring with these guys because they're legends.
Hey, Axe, I got a question for you. Who was your favorite opponent after you left the WWE? And it better be Cue Ball Carmichael because he's on a line with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
I haven't seen you for a while, my friend.
I know. I think the last time we worked together was 2009, but I gotta.
Is that the night the sheriffs came and dragged you out of the building?
That was the second time that happened. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Hey, Act, he's the guy that you were complaining about. You still hurt from.
Oh boy.
He's the crowbar you've been talking about.
Yeah. Not in any stretch of the imagination. But I'll tell you a funny Act story. The first time I met Bill, I think was like 95, 96. And, we were doing a show at a bowling alley somewhere in Virginia. I don't know if you remember this, but, you were working as the Masked Superstar and you got stuck with some kid that was just the drizzling, you know what. And I remember the kid came up to you before the match and said something stupid like, if you want to do that hardcore, I love it, or something like that. And I saw you talk to the ref, and Jimmy Cicero was with me, and a couple other guys, Shane Helms, Mike Maverick, and we watched you go out there with that kid, and it was just, it was carnage. And here's the funny story. The kid was very disrespectful, and I don't think Bill took it he took it personally, which he should. And the next week I go to Pennsylvania, and who am I booked against on the board? Axe. I'm like, uh-oh. That was the first time I'm like, uh-oh. He goes, what do you want to do? I said, anything you want to do, sir.
I remember.
I didn't want to get on the bad end of that.
Yeah, I remember.
But we had some good matches together, weird places. We worked, the first time I saw you, we were at a bowling alley, and then the next week you and I worked at a roller skating rink. But it was back in your neck of the woods originally, somewhere Uniontown or Washington or somewhere, I can't remember. But we probably worked between you and me and Jimmy Cicero. We probably worked a couple dozen matches together, and I'll tell you what, I had a blast working with Axe. I mean, easy peasy, night off. It looked good, just great stuff.
Are you sure you're talking about my old partner Axe? He's stiff as hell.
Oh, Axe. I thought you said Hatchet. Well,
Yeah, the only time I got against him, I still hurt from that time. I think it was at Survivor Series or something.
Yeah, well, but you owed me money.
Royal Rumble 80.
That's right.
Royal Rumble, number 1 and 2.
1989.
Royal Rumble, yeah.
I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of meeting you, Mr. Darso, so it's nice to talk to you on the phone anyway.
Good to talk to you. Well, I'll see you this weekend, huh?
I will not be out there. I'm in eastern North Carolina. I wish I would be, but I got a wrestling school here, and I did pretty good with the last one. I kicked a kid out named Joey Mercury. You might have heard of him before.
I know Joey Mercury.
Yeah, I guess he's a big wheel now because he doesn't call me but once every year and a half.
Yeah, that's how they get after they get the big head, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I'm thankful to get that. Are you kidding me? It's like, the kid shows up at 17, 145 pounds, and with his mother to join my school, and I said, and Jimmy Cicero, who Bill knows, trained with me, and I'm like, you gotta tell me something that's gonna impress me to take you. And he just went on this tirade, and I said, all right, I'll take a chance, and I guess it's a good thing I did. I should have signed that 10-year contract that Larry Sharp used to have with his guys. I'd still be getting paid.
Hey, Cue Ball. I'm
Yes.
going to take a big stab here, but do you actually have a question for Axe and Smash?
Sure I do. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? You think I would start talking to these guys with a question?
He'll get there eventually.
Eventually, right, exactly. We only got an hour so with you guys, so I'm going to hurry to the point if I can. Here's the thing I've noticed, and you guys still travel around and stuff. I mean, there's a different psychology to tag team wrestling, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see these makeshift guys put together now that they do for a tag team. I mean, if you see any of that stuff, does it bother you? And I'll tell you why I asked, because, I didn't know anything about tag team wrestling until Jimmy and I started to do it. But thank God we got hooked up with Luke and Butch, and they taught us what it was about psychology-wise. But I'm out there on the independents, and I see very few tag teams that even understand the concept of it.
Well, I think you're right. I don't think that you just can't put two individuals together. I think what they do now, and Barry and I have talked about this, and we've talked to a number of people who have asked the same question. Right now, they put two guys that they're not sure what they're going to do with in the future together for a short period of time and make a tag team. Years ago, guys got together as a tag team. They worked together. They learned each other's style. They learned how to anticipate the moves, to interpret different moves and nuances of facial features and body movement. Now, you got two guys that are just on hold, on the shelf, hoping that one of them is going to develop into a singles. And that makes a big difference. You don't develop that understanding, that relationship, and it shows in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. And plus, when we were tagged up, wrestling every night, we knew each other's moves, and we didn't have the big head where one of us didn't want to sell for somebody, or because it didn't matter. We were a team. Right. So it just seemed like, and to be a good team, you got to gel, and everybody has to do their job to be that good team. And you don't see that anymore because the guys do have the egos. One guy doesn't want to sell because he thinks he's going to look bad, and you can't be a tag team like that.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, Barry. You've heard that. No. You've heard that word cliche term, chemistry. Well, it is. Right. You have to get good chemistry between the two partners. And just like Barry mentioned, one guy's thinking to himself, I'm just going to be here for a little bit of time. I want to be a single star. The other guy's saying the same thing. So they're thinking about how good they look or how bad they look in the match instead of how good the match is going. You need to work for the best match and then develop.
Right. Here's another thing I wanted to throw at you guys. You guys as Demolition, and even before that, you guys always had phenomenal promos. I mean, just great promos. I think it was you, Bill, that told me one time, when everybody else is yelling, you talk. When everybody else is talking, you yell. And something to that effect. And, I watch the promos now, and I know now everything is completely scripted. And back in the day, obviously there was maybe a couple bullet points, but you guys pretty much became your characters and delivered it that way. I mean, what's happened to the business with promos? Is it just that they're scripted? Is it I don't know. It's just most of them are dreadful. And if you go back to your era when you guys were at your peak at WWE, obviously you both were before that too as individuals. But I mean, where did the disintegration or the concept of, the promo of getting the other guys over that you're going to wrestle and, and getting the promotion over and the reason for the match and that in itself would get you guys over. Now it seems like there's not even really any psychology with that.
Well, you've got script writers writing promos for a person who they're just writing. They're writing 10 promos for 10 different people. And in order to get yourself, your character over, you have to become that person. So you can't get a generic guy writing promos for Andre and Cena and Hogan and Demolition, because it's just one person writing multiple promos. All you need to do is be yourself. Tell me where the town is, who I'm going against, what time, and that's it. We'll fill the rest of it because we know us. I can be me and Barry can be him. We can't be somebody else.
Great point. Yeah, that's how miserable. Let me ask you something, Barry, and I'm sorry, Axe and Smash. Let me ask you something. Yeah. How miserable would you guys have been if that had been what was happening when you were up there?
It would have really been tough to be the character that we were, because like Bill says, how can somebody write a script for you when they don't really know how you feel and how you act and all that? You have to create your own promo and do your own thing, so it's you. And it would have been really tough if we would have had those writers back then. In fact, a lot of the promos, we used to do some commercials, and they'd have the writing up on the camera that you had to read from the camera, and it did change your personality just by reading that commercial. And it wasn't any more Axe and Smash.
Right.
And then who Who says that the writer is going to be there any length of time? We were there multiple years. Hell, they might have had 15 different writers. So we're coming out as 15 different people.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Well, to Cue Ball's point, I mean, even today, you listen to some of these things, dreadful is a good word for it, but it's watering the product down. And it's really not letting people shine to be who they could be. This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. We are with the legendary tag team, 3-time WWE champions, WWF champions, Axe and Smash of Demolition. We're going to kick it over to the bearded wonder himself, St. Paisley. What do you have for Axe and Smash?
Well, once again, thank you guys so much for being on. I do want to hit a quick plug for you for this weekend, the big Smash Funk show. Smash Funk 1, Saturday, February 27th in Warsaw, Indiana. And then Smash Funk 2, Sunday, February 28th in Valparaiso, Indiana. Huge card. Congo Kong, of course, Drew Skills, the police department, Robbie E, LJB, Lightning Bolt is going to be there. Huge show. Very looking forward to it. I do want to say I tell a lot of our guests that I'm a big fan of them, but time and time again, whenever anybody asks me what my favorite tag team of all time is, I always say Demolition. You guys are a huge inspiration to me, from your look to your action to your theme song. You know, did you guys put together the outfits, or did someone give those to you?
No, we developed the outfits, and Jimmy Hart was responsible for writing the song in conjunction with Rick Derringer, and I think it matched our appearance and our character. You know, you can't come out to that song and that look and just start going hip toss arm tracks. You got to kick somebody's butt.
You know what was funny too is I remember when Jimmy Hart was starting to write that music and everything. I remember him coming around. He goes, "I think I got a good one for you guys," you know, and it just seemed like, you know, oh yeah, sure, Jimmy, it's just going to be another song. It'll be kind of a stupid thing or something. Then all of a sudden, when the song played, when we first heard it with Rick Derringer, it was like, holy cow, what a job. Jimmy Hart was unbelievable at that. I mean,
yeah.
I thought that was the best song that any wrestler he came out to the ring with.
Oh, far and away. I'm a huge fan of that. And so whose middle name is Pain and whose middle name is Destruction?
I think we changed it.
I had an opportunity to meet you guys a few years ago in Converse, Indiana. In that show, you took on Osiris and Hillbilly Jed. And I was talking recently with Hillbilly Jed. He's a very large guy, great worker, but he told me that you guys were the first ones that would really want to work, first name people that would want to work with him. And that meant so much to him. Do you hear that feedback a lot from the guys that you work with nowadays?
Well, you know, everybody's got to start someplace. I can remember years ago when I had my first matches, and they were probably brutal. I know I went over to Japan after six months of training and beat the crap out of people so much that Inoki and Seguchi and the guys came and said, "Hey, take it a little easier. You're killing everybody." So you got to start someplace. And in our stage of our careers, it's nice to help out people with future plans. So every time we get in the ring with somebody, we try to give them some pointers and try to give them the correct way and some knowledge. Some take it, some don't.
Yeah, and too, you know, you come to these towns and everything, and we appreciate what everybody does and everybody who's watched us and everything. But it's really not all about us. It's to us it's about getting the wrestling back and getting those towns hopping for all the local guys to, you know, get big crowds in there. We're hoping the best for all the towns.
Well, I know that we are talking mainly about Demolition, but I'm not sure when we'll have a chance to get back with you guys again. So I just have questions for you individually. Mr. Eady, who was the most ridiculous machine out of the machines?
Oh God, we had a bunch of ridiculous machines. You know, it started out as a fun experience, and you know, we had the junkyard dog machine, we had the George the Animal machine, Piper machine. We had a whole bunch of them. So it's hard to tell, but you know, we had fun with it. It was supposed to be a lark. People were supposed to know who we were, and it was only supposed to be short-lived. So I guess it served its purpose.
Oh, it was definitely memorable. It was great. And Mr. Darso, I'm a huge mark for all of your characters. I have my Repo Man action figure sitting up there. I did have a chance to hang out with Nikita Koloff this weekend, so I was supposed to tell you about him.
Great guy.
I love Nikita. He's a good guy.
Oh, very much so, very much so. What was other than being Demolition Smash, what character do the fans at these conventions or these events like this weekend, who did they bring up most to you? Is it Repo Man? Is it Mr. Hole in One? Is it the Blacktop Bully? Is it Crusher? You know,
it all depends. It depends upon what city you're in. You know, a lot of it's the Repo Man, but the Blacktop Bully and Crusher Khrushchev, those are kind of the big ones. A few Hole in Ones, couple Man Mountain Darsos. I think I've been more characters than anybody, I think.
But they're all memorable. It's not like you're probably running high up there with Brutus Beefcake, but all your characters are individual characters. They weren't just variations on the same thing, and for that I applaud you. And you got them all over.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I have one more Demolition question for the both of you, and then I'm going to kick it back over to Drew Skills. A few years ago, about 8 years ago, you participated in the Chikara King of Trios tournament. Was that just a blast to get out there and work that kind of cartoony style?
Well, we really didn't know much about the promotion at all. We were asked to do it, and again, it's an opportunity to tag up with one-man gangs. So it turned out to be a lot of fun, really, to be honest with you. Matter of fact, I think we did another event with those guys.
Yeah, you did a tag team tournament with them as well.
Yeah, and the promoter was excellent, very professional. The crowd was outstanding, and the guys in the locker room were real respectful. And I was amazed with the talent. I mean, they had guys from all over the country.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that Chikara. I tell you, it's a first-class operation all the way, and the guys, every one of them work hard. And that's what makes that whole show. Just a bunch of good guys.
Well, I had an ulterior motive to asking that question. I was trying to talk Nikita into getting you and Uncle Ivan together to do another King of Trios. But I'm not sure it would bump for you, so.
Well, I'll tell you, I love Uncle Ivan, I love Nikita, and it'd be great to get together with them.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kick it back over to Drew Skills, who will be there at Smash Funk in Warsaw and Valparaiso this weekend. Drew, what else did you have for Demolition?
Well, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit more with you guys. We talked about this weekend coming up. It's going to be a great show. The double weekend in Warsaw and Valparaiso there. I first met you guys at a fan fest in Fort Wayne. It's about 1,500 people. How is it for you guys get together again and spend time and go to these fan fests and these different shows?
Well, I've always been impressed with the area there, the Warsaw, Indianapolis. I don't think we've been to Valparaiso, but I'm looking forward to it. But, that Midwestern section of the country is good wrestling territory, good sports territory. Everything you talk about, basketball, of course, football and wrestling, and baseball. So, the fans are outstanding. They always come out. They're good support. And, Smash and I like the idea that we get to sit down before the matches and chat with the people and take pictures and sign autographs and just get to know the fans that supported us over the years.
Yeah, Bill, we've made a lot of trips from Indianapolis to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Valparaiso, and all over that area. We had a real good time there, didn't we?
Yeah, very good time.
Well, that's awesome, and we're definitely looking forward to getting you guys back over here for those shows. One of the other things I was going to talk to you guys about, or wanted to talk to you guys about, we haven't mentioned yet, is you guys are actually doing a seminar one of those days. Isn't that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Are you still on, Jeremy?
Yeah, we're trying to relay some years of experience, not so much getting down in the mat and stuff, but trying to relate some psychology, some rapport that you carry out in the locker room and with the promoters and with the guys themselves. Little ins and outs that, the guys go to wrestling camps and go to training camps and things like that, and they learn all the techniques. But there's a lot more to wrestling than just learning how to take bumps, slam people, hip toss. So that's how we try to relate.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. We have the great thrill of talking to Axe and Smash from Demolition. Axe, what do you think about this event called Smash Funk? Are you going to attack the promoter for not calling it Axe Funk?
No, we'll let it ride. I think it's kind of exciting. Smash Funk. That's sort of what Smash does anyway. We mess up guys and funk up their system, and I'll just act them down.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a concept that we're trying to get over. A lot of companies don't want to work with each other these days, and a lot of companies, have animosity, and we're just putting it out there that, hey, here's FWF, here's Smash Mouth Pro Wrestling, and we're collaborating. We're bringing the top talent from FWF. We're bringing the top talent from SPW. We're bringing in, legends and superstars, and we're putting on a show that people want to see. I mean, and that's the bottom line. You're going to get the top indie talent, and you're going to get legends and superstars out of these events, going forward. Like I said, we've got a whole slew of guys.
You guys that's great. Because, I'm sorry, you guys should be commended because you have to have a lot of self-confidence, both promotions, and set aside the ego because you want to make a lucrative business. You want to be successful, and if it means collaboration to be successful, that's what you need to do. How many times do you want to run a store and you have one customer come in? That's not successful. So if you open a store and you have an adjacent store and you get hundreds of people coming in, the variety is what's going to bring the people.
And just having all those top guys in there, the matches are gonna be so much better with the crowd being with everything too. It just makes everything so much, better for the next show coming up. There's so much excitement.
Right. That's what we're trying to generate. Just to build up that entertainment level, build up that excitement. And try to create something special. That's the goal. Anybody can book a wrestling show and do what they got to do, but we're trying to make something special for the fans here and give them something that it's like, hey, we want to see this again.
Right. All right.
Something I always found interesting, and we kind of ran this past Animal last week. The WWF, in fact, a lot of promotions have this mentality to mess with good things and add members to it. Obviously they did that with the Road Warriors, bringing Draws and Hype Reich and other guys in. But they brought Crush, Brian Adams, into your fold. What did you guys think of that, and how did that work for you guys?
Well, Crush was, Brian was a friend of ours, and he would still be if he was still alive. But there was different circumstances there. I was going to be moving into a different situation, which was going to leave an opening for Brian, but it just never developed. And both Barry and I have talked many, many times. They brought Brian in, and unfortunately, he wasn't seasoned enough to take the position. When people think of Demolition, they think of Axe and Smash. They very rarely talk about Axe and Crush or Smash and Crush. And although Brian did the best he could do, he wasn't polished at that point. Once you go into that position, we had already been there as main events, and the fans knew what to expect. To thrust a new guy in there, it just wasn't going to work. It wasn't because he didn't try. It just wasn't going to be working.
Yeah, it's hard to change something that's already working. That was the tough thing. But I'll tell you what, Brian was really, really a good guy. He was a good friend of ours.
Tell you what, Smash, getting back to Nikita, I had the pleasure of riding with him from the airport last weekend, and we were trying to discuss the tag teams of Smash, which would be the better team, Crusher Khrushchev and Blacktop Bully versus Smash and Stuart Payne.
Yeah, what did Nikita say about that?
I think he was going with the Crusher Khrushchev side. He's a good man, very loyal comrade indeed, right?
Yes. Yeah, we had a lot of fun trips, and what's great about a wrestling career, and Bill's had the same thing. He has other partners and other people he traveled with, and it's just great experiences that you have in life with all the different people that you meet and different partners you have, and you learn so much being with all different people.
I'll tell you what, guys, final one for me, and then I'll pass it off to the other guys. You guys are veterans. You've been around. You understand the business left and right. Does it bother you? And we all know it's just a ploy for ratings and things like that. But the Hall of Fame, your thoughts on why Demolition isn't there, and does it bother you? And I guess that's it. Does it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother. We have no control over that at all. If they get Liberace and all those other guys in there, there's nothing that we can do about who's going in, who's not going in. We've talked about our career. A lot of people have approached us with it and said, well, geez, you guys should be there. You should. Just to have the fan accolades. We are both confident in our ability. We know that we belong. Now, whether we get there or not, that's different. It seems as though, they're putting a lot of the more recent guys in, that you put longevity and a lot of other factors, but we're not there. And it doesn't bother me, and I know it doesn't bother Smash. It would be a nice footnote. You want to be acknowledged, but if it doesn't happen, we're not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Bill. And I've always wondered what is the real criteria of getting into the Hall of Fame? It's got to be just if you live close by where WrestleMania is going to be at, or if you've been best friends with somebody in the office. I don't know what it is. So
we never may get in because they can't have two WrestleManias in Minneapolis and Georgia at the same
time. Well, certainly the criteria isn't longevity as tag team champions, because you guys hold the longest reign and the total longest combined reigns for days as champions of tag teams.
Well, those are records, and when you're doing them, you don't realize it. But just like you just said, they can't take it away from you. So you must have done something well. But like I said before, it would be nice to be accepted, to be nominated, but there's nothing we can do about it. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of the greatest things.
The most criminal omissions are Demolition and Uncle Ivan.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that need to be in. You can go down a long list. So,
I'll tell you what. Yeah, one of the greatest things is just last weekend we were at a casino here in Minnesota wrestling for the AWF, and we got into the ballroom right before the matches were, and there was a line out the door, wanting to see us, and we sat and talked to all the kids and all the parents and the moms and sisters, and that's really what it's all about. And it'd be great to be in that Hall of Fame and everything, but this weekend we're going to have lines of people that want pictures, and we're going to talk to everybody, and that's the best feeling in the world.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Demolition is joining us. We're going to wrap things up. Q-Ball Carmichael, what do you have left for our good friends in Demolition?
Well, I just wanted to tell them, when I train people, I after they've established themselves a little bit and can make sense of the psychology and transitions, which, as you guys know, is everything that matters. I think wrestling's 10% of the game. The rest is all upstairs if you're going to get over or not. And people fail to realize that. In the business today, we have people that think wrestling's about the crazy moves that they do. In our era, we had, I don't go back as far as you guys probably do, 83, but when I came into Ideas and when I trained later at Thez's, it was about as much, if not more, than what you did between the moves and the transitions in that and getting the crowd involved in it. And now you see a bunch of guys that have totally lost that concept. And the point of my whole paragraph, which was a sentence here, is I use three different people to train for tag team matches. One is the Rock and Roll Express for the technical side, and the other one is I use the Bushwhackers for the comedy side, and then of course I use Demolition for the completely brutal side. So, hey, it was.
You could probably ask the other two teams you mentioned, and if we were brutal, and they'd agree with you.
I tell you what's one of the funnest is when the Demolition wrestles the Bushwhackers. And you got two comedy teams out there.
Yeah, Butch and Luke taught me tag team wrestling. Thank God when I started tagging with Jimmy Cicero Bill that we got hooked up with them, because I didn't realize it was I was 12 or 13 years in, and I had maybe 2 tag matches, and 1,000 singles matches, so I was clueless. So thank God by the time I got to you, I knew what I was doing a little bit, so I didn't get squashed or anything. But, I just wanted to tell you guys that, with Bill, it's been a pleasure. We've known each other for about 20 years. And, I hope sooner or later down the line we can meet Barry and we can sneak over in the corner and talk bad about Bill. It'll take about 3 seconds. But, Bill, I'm going to keep your number. I go to Atlanta a couple times a year. I want to buy you dinner if I get down there. Maybe I can get you in here. I'm running shows here. I'd love to get you both in here at some point.
Yeah, very good. I think if we're breaking up, and it might not be on your end because we're having some tornadoes in the area. So, yeah,
we are too.
More than happy to do it. More than happy to get
sounds
together.
Good. Sounds good, man. We'll get together, and hopefully I can get you guys in here this year down here in Eastern North Carolina, because I sure could use you.
All right, be good.
Hey, VP,
good luck.
VP, how about getting some social media info from these gentlemen before we let them go?
Yeah, how do we find out about your careers, where you're going, and everything? Do you guys have Twitter or Facebook or website or anything?
No, I really don't.
We had that Facebook, and we had a manager. They wanted us to do all that, so I teach school, and I have about 50 to 75 emails a day from school. So he convinced us for this short period of time to do this Twitter and do this Facebook and all this stuff. And my God, after about a week and a half, there was thousands of things. I'm not doing it anymore. Not that I don't want to communicate with the fans. I just don't have time.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I probably would have known about it if you did, because as I said, I'm a huge fan. Would you guys, before you go, can you guys say, this is Axe and Smash of Demolition. You're listening to the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Something like that, however you want to do it.
Yeah. Hey, this is Axe.
And this is Smash.
And you're listening to the Undisputed Wrestling Show. And you better pay attention, buddy.
Or we're going to kick your stinking teeth in.
Thank you guys
Beautiful.
so much. And Jeremy, we'll still keep Jeremy Siebold on for a few minutes to talk more about Smash Funk this weekend. And we'll make sure to get out their social information. I'm telling all our listeners right now, if they get a chance to go to these two shows, they're going to have a great time. And if you're not in the area and you do see Demolition coming up in your area, make sure to go out and see them. Very nice guys, accommodating to the fans. You guys have signed probably crazy things. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Well,
thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us. We're really looking forward to coming down there.
Both of you. Great amount of respect.
It was great talking to you guys tonight. And
All right, guys.
Hopefully
Good night.
we can get you to come back on and join us singly at some point.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
You guys this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
So, Drew, I said that
right.
we were going to talk to Jeremy Siebel, but I want to talk to you first.
Well, hang on. Before you do that, the Prophet is going to make his exit.